You've tuned in to Stranger Than Fiction News, broadcasting live from the dark side of the planet. Breaking news, these cell towers continue to burn as people protest over safety concerns. No radiation without representation is what we the people are saying. They can't let you opt out of these death towers for some reason. You can't opt out of the eugenics. You can't opt out of the vaccines, of the GMOs, of the pesticides, of the 5G. You can't opt out of this nightmare, ladies and gentlemen. They don't allow it. Freedom of speech, they don't allow it. Freedom of the press, they don't allow it. Freedom of religion, they don't allow it. They've suspended the 4th of July so that they can roll out more death towers. Surprise. Surprise. How's everybody doing? We're hacking the Matrix. Hacking the screw tube. We've been banned everywhere. But we're getting more video of these death towers going up in smoke, if you will. People are pointing them out during the lockdown. New ones are coming up and people are surprised. They thought everybody's supposed to be locking down, but in fact, while you're imprisoned, they are putting up new death towers, and we've got protesters taking down the death towers. It's important that you educate your neighbors and your friends and your community during this lockdown. That way, if this goes to a jury trial for somebody somewhere, you can participate in the nullification. No irradiation without representation. If they're going to irradiate you, you should be able to opt out. You should be able to choose if you want to get penetrated 24/7 with these electromagnetic fields. And we've got lots of videos. We've played lots of videos over the years of how harmful this stuff is. Here you can see some time lapse with the Wi-Fi on. 72-hour time lapse. As you can see, the plants grow normally, no problemo. But with the Wi-Fi on, ladies and gentlemen, there's no life. It's anti-life. I mean, it doesn't get more obvious than this. Whatever is going on here, it's part of the eugenics program, ladies and gentlemen. And with the new 5G death network, it's even worse than this. We've got this video. We should play it in its entirety right here for you if we can. But this guy checks into the hotel. Oh no.
I'm gonna show you why. They just put all those up over there.
So, at the microwave oven, at full blast, this thing registers somewhere around 15, 20 milliwatts per meter squared. That's the units of measure. When he brings the meter, the tri-field meter, up to the window, it just goes off the scales. And he's not even outside. That's the new 5G. And it obviously has side effects. When you look at, radiation overdose, when it comes to microwave radiation, the symptoms are very similar to the Wuhan virus. Heart attacks, strokes, and other things, quite literally. And so how do we know what's going on? You might think that's cute, but in fact, farmers around the world are picking up, carcasses of dead animals because of 5G towers, 4G towers, more like 4G towers out in the country, and electric fields from the power lines. Now, there's a lot of arguments. We could spend hours talking about the finer points of what's happening out in the country, but undoubtedly there are animals that are dropping dead because of this technology. Just like, the bees, just like the cows, and just like the people we see in Wuhan, people dropping dead. And, most of the deaths are happening, real close to the brand new 5G networks. Everybody's pretty much been infected by this virus, but the people that are dropping dead are the ones closest to the 5G. And I think what's happening in Florida is a real clear case of that. Miami is the only place in Florida with a developed 5G network. But there's as many people in Orlando and Tallahassee and Fort Lauderdale as, everywhere else. But Miami got hit. And, you look at New York, they got the 5G, they got hit. And places that don't really have a 4G, 5G network, they're not really reporting a whole lot of cases right now. So that's some food for thought. But, this is never seen before levels of radiation. Now, they can call it non-ionizing radiation. They can call it whatever kind of radiation they want to. But when the Wi-Fi's on, there's no life here, ladies and gentlemen. That's basically what's going on. We recommend that you get a meter out there. Check out our website, stfnreport.com, for the EMF 390 videoed here for $129. It just blows away the competition. So there we go. You can check that out, as well as the latest news on our website, stfnreport.com. But you definitely want a meter out there knowing what this stuff does. Look at this one. Look at these reports. We brought up some old reports. We weren't always covering the Wuhan supervirus, believe it or not. But when we saw, what it looked like day one, felt like, we had to cover it. And we covered it, and we covered it, and, it's...
Cancer-causing cell phone tower on a school campus. Well, now that is being removed in the near future. Cancer-causing cell phone tower on a school campus. Well, now that is...
So what kind of cancers do these cell towers cause? Leukemia-type cancers, brain cancers, but mostly leukemia-type cancers with the cell towers and the Wi-Fi. And that's, the white blood cells. That's your immune system. That's what this technology attacks. That's why even, a little virus like the coronavirus can all of a sudden become a super virus with the 5G. And, people in these big cities, they've become like a science experiment. And I wouldn't want to live anywhere near, a 5G network right now. And they're trying to, push it out even faster now that people are locked down. That way they can spread the range of the outbreak, if you know what I mean. So as more towers go up, there's going to be a new cell, a new epidemic. Look, we've got another one over here. And basically these people that are dropping dead are the, the people that are most EMF sensitive, essentially. Looking at it a certain way. But undoubtedly there's something very spooky and unnatural about, the placement of these death towers these days. It's like right on your school, right next to the bleachers, right where people are. You'd want these things like 10 miles away, not, right in your backyard. And not only do they look bad, they feel bad. People have been, kind of experimenting with this for quite some time. And most people will realize that they get a certain sensation when they're close to one of these death towers. And then if they go out in the country, all of a sudden, they feel better. They spend 2 days outside of the city and they feel better. They feel refreshed. They go back in and they're feeling fatigued. They're feeling, anxious. They're, twitching and the like. And, these things are just terrible, to say the least. Of course, people have been targeting the power supply. The cabling, made of rubber and plastic just goes up, real quick with a little lighter fluid, according to the experts. And we've got all sorts of videos of these things going up, and it's just, you know, I think it brings pleasure to a lot of people out there during these tough times when we're locked down, we've been imprisoned in our own homes, our rights stripped away from us, and, you know, we're feeling a little lonely, or we lack a little self-esteem. And there's nothing like watching one of these death hours go up, put a smile on your face. Ladies and gentlemen, it's important to understand why we're having death hours put up, express-like, in everybody's backyard. It's because this administration actually made 5G a national security priority. You probably remember the press conference where he's like 5G and then comes 6G, and you know, they made it a national security priority. They must have 5G in everybody's neighborhood. Why? It's the same reason why Amazon started the Amazon Go stores just recently. Contactless shopping. It's all part of the plan. Demic. Ladies and gentlemen. Is this not nice to see? I mean, how many people out there feel disturbed by looking at a death tower just, you know, toppled over and destroyed? How many people feel disturbed? What's more disturbing, looking at these death towers fully erect and operational, or watching these death towers burn? Which is more disturbing to you? Which looks better to you? Imagine, you know, you're at the optometrist and they're like, which looks better to you? Number one? What was that? Video guy is getting cute. What looks better, number one or number two? Which you like better? The tower, you know, beaming at you, or the tower burning near you? Which feels more comforting, ladies and gentlemen? Now, some people say, oh, you need those to call 911. Well, you know, landlines still work. Flat earthers will say this is the satellite system. You can't take out their satellite system. They'll freak out. But regardless of that, you know, these things are dangerous. They're microwave ovens on a stick, and the new ones are even worse. Not sure what happened to the video guy, but we always get this interference. Oh, and of course, Elon Musk, who doesn't deliver on his ventilators, is putting up the Death Star network, Starlink as they call it, and there's going to be like thousands of little CubeSats, 5G transmitters beaming the entire country like 24/7 nonstop. And they'll be able to follow you around with your smartphone and just hit you like, you know, like some kind of space weapon, like Star Wars and the like. And there's no telling what's coming next. I mean, you're going to have to like go around with an umbrella, with an EMF proof umbrella, if you really want to be sure. That's the world we're going to live in. And, you know, it's just not right. You should be able to opt out from this radiation. It's obviously penetrating you, damaging your DNA, you know, having an effect on your biology, on your health, on your well-being, as well as your, you know, psychological state. I mean, this stuff should, you know, come to a vote. They shouldn't be able to just beam this shit at you without your permission. You should be able to opt out. And until they give people a way to opt out, you know, it's not fair. You're getting irradiated without your consent, without representation. No radiation without representation. That should be the new mantra of the Stop 5G movement. But of course, you know, there's more going on than just 5G right now. Whatever happened to Epstein? Anybody remember that guy? What happened to Epstein? What happened to the Clinton body count? Whatever happened to Hillary? You know, Hillary and Obama and Bloomberg have been real silent lately. I think they have something to say. I think they're involved here, ladies and gentlemen. And, you know, this is a big win for the Democrats right now, believe it or not. And, you know, they're trying to set the stage as, you know, being humanitarian and caring about people and all of that. It's really sad to watch NBC these days. But they're certainly sounding a lot more human than the dictator at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, who is assuming total absolute power during this pandemic, suspending your rights and, you know, the like. So everybody's got their election year strategy. You just have to, you know, wonder whose Schwartz is stronger. Not sure if anybody remembers that movie, but in any case, ladies and gentlemen, who's getting a new 5G phone? Anyone? Anyone seen like how many antennas are on the new phones? How many different ways you're just going to get beamed? You know, there's a reason why it's going faster. They're adding more antennas. You know, one antenna does pictures, one antenna does audio, one antenna does video, one antenna does internet. So they got a dedicated antenna for every little thing that you want to do. Send, stream, or whatever. So you have like 4 or 5 antennas, you know, live, hot, right in your little phone, blasting you, you know, with like all sorts of waveforms. And on the other side, you got the Death Tower sending out its, you know, photon beams like the Starship Enterprise. And you can't even see it, but it's happening in real time. You could see it if you had a meter. And once you get a meter and you see what you're getting blasted with, just with your phone, just with the Wi-Fi, that'll change your life. And you'll feel a lot better too. And you have to wonder, you know, how, you know, bad is this EMF? Just ask the people in New York, ask the people in New Jersey, ask the people that have been hit by, you know, this outbreak in its, you know, most ruthless form. People are basically choking out, dying a horrible death. And undoubtedly EMF technology has a role to play in what's going on here. Now, we've covered, you know, the scientific reports that talk about EMF radiation, microwave radiation, radio frequency radiation, and its effects on the immune system, for one. Not to mention the nervous system. But, you know, we're seeing a lot of the same type of pathologies with EMF exposure and this supervirus. You know, there's the Interphone study that was finding, you know, real rare cancers in the heart and the brain due to EMF technology. 4G, 5G, pulsed radiation and the like. And you might be wondering what you're watching there. Faces from another dimension. But, you know, the supervirus here attacks the brain. It attacks the heart. Causes fatigue. So there's some similarities here. I don't think people should be ignoring what's going on in terms of this virus and these networks. And it's only going to get worse as they roll out more. And people are just basically, you know, helpless to stop it all by themselves. You know, this government isn't going to help you. The people on television aren't going to help you. But you know what Operation Gridlock proved yesterday was that, you know, an armed militia can take over the Capitol building at any time. Did you see how they just stormed the Capitol building in Lansing yesterday? And there's pictures of, you know, of basically revolutionaries with their, you know, AR-22s and the like right there on the Capitol. Everybody was packing heat. I know we got a picture of it. I'm not sure if we really loaded it up at this stage for this presentation, but you know, this is basically it. This is kind of like hot dropping it. Oh, it's ugly, man. Get rid of it. But you saw the footage. It was like, you know, the takeover of the Capitol building, like the Civil War. They just took over Michigan and then they left. But it's possible, ladies and gentlemen, people can take their country back if they wanted to. And perhaps, you know, with all this free time on your hands, people will be able to organize.
It's being removed in the near future.
What?
cancer-causing cell phone tower on a school campus. Well, now that is being removed.
Yeah, that's being removed. And, you know, a lot of the towers that are running out there are running above FCC limits, and some of them don't even have a permit. They've discovered that through numerous follow-up investigations with the local media. They're like, oh, this tower is going down because it wasn't even authorized. We've got a video of that in the archives. We haven't played it quite some time, but, you know, you just don't know what it is. Most people won't call into the city hall, you know, when it comes to a death tower. They'll just be like, oh, there it is, and they'll just stare at it and just think, you know, to themselves about it, but they won't do anything about it. Well, people are, you know, doing things about it now. They're burning these things down, you know, and you see these small cells and you see like the power supply right next to it. I mean, it's just, you know, it's just sitting there. Now, experts warn, you know, not to take, you know, like wire cutters or anything, try to, you know, cut it as it's hot. But these things are overheating, and experts say a little lighter fluid and, you know, toilet paper, you know, lob it in or something, and it just whoosh, you know, a bitch goes up in smoke. Smoke, bitches. And that's the end of the tower. I mean, people are, you know, are going to be faced with a choice. Do you want to stare at that tower all day, all night, knowing it's irradiating you 24/7? I mean, do you just want to stare at it? You just want to look at it, knowing that it's poisoning you and people around you? You're just going to take it and let it just dose you over and over again? So, you know, people will have that, you know, choice to make. But essentially, it's like, you know, a crew sets up shop next door and they're irradiating you. They're targeting you. And with technology today, I mean, it's just too easy. You know, it's just too easy to target people based on their cell phones and their Facebook profiles and the like. And, you know, people won't even know that they've been selected. Now, you have to wonder about, you know, the current outbreak. Obviously, you know, people were selected for extermination. The virus was activated in their area. And, you know, nobody's really, you know, talking about that yet. Right now, they're about 3 months behind. Right now, you see on Fox News and everything like that, they're talking about this coming from the lab. Oh, that's very perceptive of them 3 months later. And so, you know, in another couple months, maybe you'll figure out who is actually being targeted for what. And, you know, it is an election year. And so we'll just have to see, you know, what happens. But we've already got, you know, our ideas. I think, you know, there's probably a few competing theories about, you know, who's most responsible. Is it the Chinese? Is it Trump? Is it the Democrats? All of the above? Are they working together? And, you know, they need to work together to re-establish any type of credibility in their system, in their beast system, in their duopoly, in their, you know, puppet system. Oh, the video guy's fired, man. Totally getting hacked right now. But, you know, right now there's no credibility in the system. I mean, the actors, nobody likes the actors and the actresses anymore for the most part. You know, they're all shills. They're all Luciferian child molesters, pedo wood. You look at the politicians, they're all shills. You look at the people like on the cable news for the most part, they're all shills. You know, and so nobody's buying the They Live television anymore. You know, people get it. And so they're so desperate, they need something to bring back, you know, any glimmer of credibility to this system. And they're, you know, they're searching, you know, desperately for any kind of anchor that'll get them back into where they need to be. But people aren't buying it. And, you know, again, I think this Operation Gridlock yesterday demonstrated quite clearly how quickly people can go from being locked down to at the Capitol building with guns saying this is our house. And so, I think the politicians need to remember that this is a country of we the people, and it's people that elect these shills to go to Washington to actually make this country a better place. They're not doing that. They're not fulfilling their end of the bargain. Instead, they're trying to exterminate everybody and the like. And so, enough is enough. They had their fun with the fluoride, with the vaccines, with the GMOs and the like. They had their fun grooming our children in schools and basically perverting their minds forever. They've had their fun, ladies and gentlemen. Now it's time for us to have our fun. We need to, take this country back and have ourselves a reckoning. Some people, would like to see guillotines. Some people would like to see the gallows. There needs to be a speedy trial, due process. And we need to, basically get rid of these shills that keep plaguing our society. And until we give up the notions of being Democrats and Republicans in America, nothing is ever going to change. If you identify yourselves with the labels that you see on television, we're never going anywhere. Because it's all part of the control system. It's all part of the bread and circus. And that's pretty obvious. Everybody knows that. But somehow we went back to sleep after the 2016 election. We thought we won. We thought, we were making progress. Instead we got death towers. Instead we got genocide. And we still got these clones. It's still like Westworld out there. So people need to decide, what are you going to do? What we can do for the time being collectively is resist this occupation. And some people are choosing to burn down these death towers. Communications is key in any type of war. Now, you've noticed that, they've been quick to censor people and shut down their communications. Every time they shut down a Facebook profile, all of those contacts are gone, And they love shutting down people's communications. They love, censoring people and the like. So, people are targeting the beast system communications. And, of course, this stuff irradiates you. It poisons you. It weakens your immune system. And, it's probably one of the major cofactors for this outbreak. Quite literally everybody's been exposed in America and in the world, it looks like. And the only places that we're seeing major outbreaks is near the 5G, 4G plus networks. So there's something to be said about that. And Miami, Florida is the prime example. I mean, the whole state of Florida, has probably been exposed more or less equally at this stage. And, they've got fresh air all the time. Pollution isn't that much of a factor out there. And the only place that's really affected hardcore is Miami. And they've got the 5G network. Now, you're going to want to get people that counter-argue that. But, Orlando's got Disney World. You'd think there'd be as many people infected in Orlando as Miami. But that's not what we're seeing. And Miami's got the 5G. Orlando, not really. So we've covered that in previous broadcasts. Be sure to check out our video archives. How's everybody doing out there on the ScrewTube channel? I just want to give a big shout out to everybody that's live in the chat. Rhonda Clark, Rhonda R, Brenda, Polarity 77, Damo Crazy. What's going on, Doc? Benjamin. And the like. Access through Christ. Amen. Andrew Cummings, how you doing? Dura Saxon. And many others. Mind for Knowledge. So I'd like to ask the audience a few questions out there. What does it look like in your location in terms of supplies and being able to move around? How do the grocery stores look? You guys got toilet paper? You guys got soap? You got meat? You got juice. You got everything you need out there. Fruits and vegetables. Ladies and gentlemen. See this girl? That's the new norm now. Isn't that crazy? 2020, ladies and gentlemen. Have you seen any new death towers lately? Let us know. Any new checkpoints? What's it like in your state? Do you know people that have been affected by this? Let us know in the comments. We'd like to know in the chat and in the comments. Tell us a little bit about what your experience has been in the comments. We would like to know over the past few weeks. And, you know, I think people's experience will depend on how close they are to a 5G network. So if you're far out in the country, you may not be seeing a whole lot of cases. But if you're in a grid, if you're in a city, then you probably are seeing more cases. And, you know, the reason that they call them cells is because they basically set up the city in a grid-like pattern where you're always in between 2, 3, 4 death towers, sometimes more, and they're all beaming at you, you know? And there's no telling what's going on, you know, in the middle of all of that. You know, there's only so much stuff they can really safety test in a lab. You know, you getting hit with one tower or 2 devices at a time. But, you know, imagine all the things that people have these days. Sometimes it's 1 or 2 phones surrounded by death towers, 5G smart lights, and many other things all at once. How do you know that doesn't cause some kind of drop dead syndrome and they're just blaming a virus? You know, and maybe they figured out, well, you know, 1% of the people are going to be super sensitive to the 5G and they're going to drop dead, but we really need this stuff to roll out. How do we get it to market? Oh, well, fuck, we'll just say it's a virus. And boom, bitches, they're in business. So, you know, they're thinking ahead here, obviously. And this is all going according to script. Again, tell us what you're seeing in your location out there. What are you seeing? What's the traffic like? Can you go out? Have you been stopped? Has anybody asked you for your papers lately? You know, what's it like at the grocery store? Long lines to get in? Does it depend on the day? Tell us as much as you can about your experience in the last 2 weeks that you'd like to share. We'd like to get a feeling for what it's like out there. What's it like at the grocery store? People coughing? Have you ever heard people coughing? More than one, you know, in the past couple weeks. Have you felt like you've been in the twilight zone lately? Has this impacted your life at all, or are you so isolated already that this has really had no change in your daily life other than you wear a mask and gloves at the store? Tell us what you think. Tell us what you know out there. You know, there's a lot of competing theories right now. I think everything is pretty much still on the table. Obviously, this is a plandemic, right? So if it came out of a lab, you know, they let this thing in, all of that stuff, you know, this is part of the script. And, you know, they've got, you know, a vaccine already. They've got an antidote. They've got a schedule. They know when they're going to, you know, pull us out of the lockdown already. They know when the next wave is coming. So this is their virus. And how are they activating it is the question, you know, because as far as we can tell, and we've shown, you know, the figures and the maps, you know, every little county pretty much has been affected. They've been able to pick up, you know, confirmed cases in just about every little county in the country. And so if it's spread that far, that wide, you know, pretty much everybody's infected. So if everybody's infected, why is it only people near the, you know, the 5G grids that are really getting hit with this? You know, there's other big cities that don't have the 5G that aren't getting, you know, the numbers of cases that we're seeing in other cities with the 5G. So what's going on there? What do you guys think? Have you ever felt like you're, electrosensitive, if you will? Can you feel the static electric fields, the pulsed electric fields? How many of you have a meter out there? We used to, run videos on how to and the like, how to use your meter. And maybe we'll get back into that. But I think it's important that everybody understands a little bit about the science here. And it's looking like a very important cofactor. At first, it was, real easy to dismiss. Oh, here's another one. But in fact, the more you look at it, the juicier it gets, ladies and gentlemen. Now, there's all sorts of things you can do about mitigation. And, we could talk about that. Quite literally, aluminum foil works just as well as anything else. Mylar. And that's pretty much it. But there's nothing that's 100% at this stage. We've seen some real expensive fabrics that, run into the thousands of dollars per square meter, or, enough to do a room or something like that. But for the most part, distance is your best friend. And, that's why they're rolling them up right next to you. No escape. It's a geofence. It's a gas chamber. And that's what it is. They've basically turned our cities into a concentration camp, and they're irradiating people like, like being in a gas chamber. And people are choking out, dropping dead. It's horrible, ladies and gentlemen. Like and share. Get this information out there. Appreciate everybody tuning in. We'll leave it there for this broadcast. Till the next time, if you're listening to this, you are the resistance.